God knows how you'd put this together, but the dream scenario for me is to get into the Bulls. Because I'm still very late to the Bulls as a powerful team in the East there. You know how much I hated the Patrick Williams loss. Their defense has been... obviously, Caruso and stuff being out has decimated their defense. The Vooch, as a... I know he gets a lot of defensive rebounds, but as a rim protector, as a defensive big, and the East, if I'm coming up against KD and Giannis, I want big bodies that I can, like, switchable defenders as well there. So I don't know how on earth you'd get into the Bulls there, but...
okay, this is the way. Because I heard on a podcast yesterday, they were talking about the Bulls as a potential shooter for Jerami Grant.
Okay.
And they asked the question, I'm going to ask you. I can't remember, I actually legitimately can't remember what the podcast was, so apologies. But would you give up Patrick Williams, number 4 pick last season, for Jerami Grant?
I would. Because
really?
Because the Bulls now, I'd be so excited as a Bulls fan. The DeRozan lifting my franchise is incredibly important. I reckon you can start making these big moves. You've already started cashing in big. I mean, you trade 2 first-round picks for Vooch, and the Caruso contract actually looks like a steal now, actually, more than anything. Yeah. You're stoked with how Lonzo Ball has turned out there. So I'd be starting to go pretty big. It's the fact that the East is so open to me. That's why I'm so happy for teams to cash in big this year, because who knows? What if that is the one move that gets you away? I know Patrick Williams is number 4 pick. He's number 4 pick. It's only his second year, but he showed a lot of great defensive upside. Grant has played in some pretty big playoff games. Like that Denver run, he was guarding everybody, the team's best players. So if I've got him as my body, I've got my stars. You think it makes sense, that trade, though, don't you reckon? Patrick Williams for Grant, or
there's a couple of caveats on it that are deciding factors. So one, Grant can become a free agent, and you've got to pay him money. So I'm not giving up Patrick Williams for Jerami Grant unless I've got an assurity from Jerami Grant that he's re-signing. Because if he packs up and leaves, I've just given up a number 4 pick from last season's draft. So I need confirmation from Grant that he's hanging around long term. And in order to do that, I'm going to have to give him the number that's bandied around is like 4-year 110. That's a lot of money. And Zach LaVine's up for a contract extension as well. Yeah. So I don't know how the salary's working there, but I mean, that's a big question mark. And the other thing is, because from what I heard from this podcast yesterday, is Patrick Williams out for the season, or can he actually come back?
I can't remember the injury.
To me,
I can't remember his injury.
No, because from what they said, there's a good chance that Patrick Williams can come back, and the reason being is that they applied for a disabled player exemption and they didn't get it, which basically means an individual doctor, not from the team or not from the NBA, an outside doctor, looked at Patrick Williams and said, no, there is a reasonable expectation this guy can be back before the season's out. If Patrick Williams comes back and I'm acquiring Jerami Grant and I've got DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, Vooch, Lonzo, again, this is going to be me getting Jerami Grant as a 4th, maybe even 5th option on offense, then how much more valuable is he than Patrick Williams? Is Jerami Grant as a defender that much better than Patrick Williams right now, especially given I'm going to have to give Grant a 4-year, $110 million contract and Patrick Williams is still on his rookie deal? Is that worth it? No. If I can get reasonable confidence and expectations in that Patrick Williams will be back before season's end, no. Because Jerami Grant is going to be if Jerami Grant was a better player and he could come in and reasonably be the 2nd or even 3rd best option on offense, then yeah, maybe. But I still think Vooch is ahead of him, so therefore he's the 4th at best. I don't think it's worth it in that scenario.
You'd imagine it'd be a deep... I'd just be worried about Patrick. I'm trying to recall whether it was an ACL or just... I can't quite remember what...
No, was it a shoulder or something like that? I don't know. Whatever injury he had. I thought it was upper body.
It's more the
Definitely wasn't an ACL, because then he would be definitely out for the season, and he's not.
I'd just be worried about, I guess, throwing him to the Wolves. Like, by the time he got back towards the end of the season, new team sort of thing. Grant is the perfect role player to me. I think we're a guy that can do all that sort of thing, and I think there could even be scenarios where you put him at the small ball 5 when you've got the GOAT Caruso out there, and so I think.
So you're not playing Vooch?
Vooch. When teams go small, yeah, I reckon, because I feel like there'll be times where the Nets throw KD at the 5 or Giannis at the 5, and you're going to have to.
And Vooch just gets
Because Vooch,
cooked.
I'm still he's the main guy. I'm kind of hesitant as to whether or not he brings them to title contention. But I think Grant, you'd have a deep playoff run, I reckon, with Grant, and I think Grant. Has come to a realization that he's not that guy. He's actually better suited as the fourth guy on a championship team, or a championship contending team, I should say. He thrived at Denver, and he just got unlucky with the injuries and stuff like that towards the end, and just coming up better teams. And you just hope it. And the Bulls are incredibly well coached, obviously. I feel like the culture at Detroit's deplorable. So maybe you just hope that an amazing playoff run happens, and you could just convince him to be that guy. I don't know, but Chachi,
I'm not giving 4-year, $110 million contract to a fourth guy on offense when I've got a similar level defender who is a number 4 pick in the draft on a rookie contract. I'm not doing that. This is like value for money. I know you're trying to go for a chip, but at the end of the day, if Patrick Williams isn't working out come playoff time, your closing 5 is Levine, DeMar, Caruso, Lonzo, Vooch. That's your closing 5. And you don't have to have, like Patrick Williams, you don't have to have him on the court for 30 plus minutes a game. But I understand your point completely. I do. And it does make some sense, but I'm hesitant. Anyway, we should move on because I feel like we could debate that all day.